Welcome to the broadcast, my beauties. How are you today, my dears? I hope you're very well. Prince Harry, on the other hand, is not doing so well, is he? And not having such a splendid week. Because of issues born out of his own arrogance. His own arrogance. You know, I was watching an interview the other day with Anne Glenconner. And she mentioned the fact that when Harry was a child, and by the way, Harry and William shared the same nanny, Barbara Barnes, as her children. And for those of you that don't know, Lady Glenconner was a very close friend of the late Queen, and especially the late Margaret Rose. Well,
Barbara adored Prince William, who was very... Harry, I think, was a bit more difficult. Harry, I think, was a bit more difficult. Harry, I think, was a bit more difficult.
She tells us, I can't remember if she tells us in her book, but she said on this interview that Harry was born angry.
And you mentioned something she said about Harry.
He was born angry.
Yes, Barbara Barnes said he was born angry.
Oh, well, then that better not.
All right, okay. Sorry about that.
You made me say that.
All right, I made you say that.
Born angry. Oh, I did have a little gleeful moment with that disclosure from one of the besties of Harry's grandmamma, the late Queen Liz. So straight from the horse's mouth, as it were, my dear. Born angry. William, a delight. Harry had that in him. So he can't even just blame all of his ills of the personality and of the mind and that nature on the tragedies that befell him later in life, for which most of us have every sympathy and every compassion. Can't all be laid on those shoulders, or even on the shoulders of his parents. Before that, from birth, he came out angry. And he's still angry and throwing that tantrum, isn't he, and making everybody else suffer for it. And this time, the people who are suffering for it are the relatives of Pat Tillman. And this is serious stuff, and it's really become quite affecting, and it's spreading globally. And there are petitions and all sorts going on. Yes, well, I'm talking about the Pat Tillman Award for Service. We can all do our own particular brand of service, says the Duchess of Merchandising. The Merchantress of Venice Beach. This, of course, is for the Invictus Games work that Harry's done. Work. You better work, girlfriend. And it's to do with the ESPYS Awards, whatever the hell they are. I'm sure they're big news abroad. But yeah, he's up for an ESPY. He's had the WASPY and the NITSPY and the Grimsby. Now it's the ESPYS Awards on July the 11th. Pat Tillman was an American football star who gave up $3 million in contracts to enlist in the United States Army after 9/11, and he was killed in friendly fire 20 years ago when he was serving in Afghanistan. He looks like a hero, let alone the fact that he actually was one. Looks like one, doesn't he? A handsome hero. Killed in his prime, serving the country, and he's very highly regarded, obviously. And his mother, Mary, came forth, and I'm sure many of you know this now, but she came forth to say that she was not consulted about this trophy, this award for service in his name, in her son's name. She said, I am shocked as to why they would select such a controversial and divisive individual to receive that award. There are recipients that are far more fitting. There certainly are. There certainly are, Mary. Take your pick. Most of them are unsung. There are individuals working in the veteran community that are doing tremendous things to assist veterans. These individuals do not have the money, resources, connections or privilege that Prince Harry has. I feel those types of individuals should be recognised. And previously I hear that the ESPYs have been given to unsung heroes, but the ESPYs are jumping on the bandwagon of publicity, because whether it's good or bad, it gets the name out there, doesn't it? I'd never heard of an ESPY before, unless perhaps Meghan's won one before, I can't remember, but I've never heard one until today, due to the Harkles. So they don't care what mischief they're up to as long as the name gets out there. Anyway, how is it, can I please ask at this moment in time, how is it that the Duke of Puke is not utterly embarrassed, is not self-aware enough to be embarrassed by the hoard of totems and trophies and awards heaped upon him and his escortress? Heaped upon them, these cavalcades. Is that the word? Heaped upon them these... It's not cavalcades, is it? Heaped upon them this vulgar trolley dash as they wheel along their shopping cart, pulling all kinds of totems and trophies into it on their way. It's been going on nigh on 4 years now, is it, or whatever. It's a joke. It is a joke and a wheeze. And they are burgeoning philanthropists. They are wannabe philanthropists. They are supposed to be proving their mettle and showing us what they're made of over the next few years, so that when they're in the winter of life, when they're bloody, what's her name? Who was the one at the Gracie Awards, was it? Who's that woman? Glow Steinem. When they're Glow Steinem's age, this is when they're supposed to bask in the harvest of their achievements, my dear. Not 2 years into a charity whose books aren't exactly looking as if they are thriving with philanthropy at this moment in time. Really, it is vulgar, it is déclassé, it is tawdry, and it is brazen as they trot up onto these stages. Oh, thank you. Is it because the Markle girl never got her Oscar that she used to practice in front of the mirror when she was pirouetting around, pretending to be Diana and all sorts, pretending to be the late Queen Liz? This is my new kingdom. Thank you so much. Move over, Gwynnie. It's my turn. She never got past the starlet phase, and when she reached harlot phase, she was too old for the ingenue. She never got the award, she never got to make the speech, so they're using all these award ceremonies to try and trot it out. Oh, back when I was at the Immaculate Fart, back when I was this, back when I was that. And did you know I wrote a letter to Daddy? Oops, no, not to Daddy, I mean to the washing up detergent company, and I changed the world. It's enough to make Goody Two-Shoes make me want a bath. Goody Two-Shoes makes me want a barf. She'll never be a pink lady. And you know what? It takes the shine off of any actual altruism that his authentic work with Invictus or whoever else might actually involve. Because I believe that it's there. When you speak to some of these people involved in it, they say that Harry does good things and he should be praised for that in some respect, but not in this vulgar way. It takes the shine off any altruism. Let people go about this charity work, this kind of charity work, with quiet dignity. Quiet dignity, as William does, as we shall see later. Pat Tillman, by the way, was awarded, after he died, he was awarded the Silver Star and Purple Heart for bravery. He wasn't queuing up to collect awards, whether or not they'd been paid for. Was he? He went about his business with quiet service and dignity. And of course, who is hosting these awards? The ESPYs, the famous ESPYs. Who's hosting? I give you 3 guesses. No, not Oprah. No, not Gail. No, not cheesy nachos Figuera. No, you've missed out. Okay, a 4th guess. Yes, you got it right. Serena Williams, another one of their enablers. Honestly, really, she's too good for the likes of them. Why she pins her badge to the likes of them is beyond me, my dear. I will never understand, but very cosy, isn't it? All so cosy. They attend more award shows than they have hot dinners. Speaking of which, I have no doubt that her baking show, Cooking Up Trouble, or whatever it's called. Maybe it's called Cooking Up Trouble with Meghan Markle. That'd be fabulous, actually. I wouldn't mind that. Or Cooking the Books. Yeah, we know what kind of cooking you're up to, Cookie Dough Queen. No doubt that's going to be laden with felicitudes and awards coming in as well for best cookery show in the world, I ask you. Well, as it happens, Prince Harry is actually going to find himself upstaged the morning after the awards, when he's expecting all the press, by a certain big brother who's bigger in every way. On Friday the 12th, the Prince of Wales is going to be taking part in a charity polo match, a Royal Charity Polo Cup, and the funds will be distributed across 11 different charities and causes that are supported by the Prince and Princess of Wales. And this will be the 13th time that Prince William is playing in this match, which will take the donations to over £30 million. Do you see how it is done quietly and regally, as part of the royal calendar, but with no wife darting about the trophy stage as if she's auditioning for Annie and shoving all the orphans out of the way as she goes about it? That girl thinks she's auditioning for Annie on Broadway. Where's Daddy Warbucks? Where's Daddy Big Bucks? Oh, get out of the way, orphans, get out of the way. Well, I'm here as a Miss Hannigan, little girl, to tell you that you belong with the nuts and the squirrels. I'll put you in your place, my dear. It ain't what you do, it's the way that you do it. And that is always so evident when you compare the Waleses to the Harkles on a trophy stage, such as a polo gathering and a polo tournament. It's the way that you do it. And the Harkles do it like hustlers, treating each other like trophy wife and trophy husband, rather than bringing the attention to the trophy winners themselves and the various charities. It's all about them muscling in. And Prince William was looking extremely smart and very dapper in an RAF regimental necktie. Did you see it? I actually really love him in the ties with the diagonal stripes. It just lends a nice little pop, doesn't it, to an otherwise sober ensemble. But regimental necktie and an umbrella in this rainy July. It's sunny here in the kingdom today, but it has been unseasonably rainy and cool, which has been bliss for me. I know I keep mentioning this, but it's just blissful for me. Hallelujah. I love it. I can record in comfort and enjoy life more. But for everyone else, it's devastating. I want to say a particular hello to a viewer of mine who's been a very loyal basketeer over the years, a wonderful commenter and viewer and basketeer, Nano, because Nano is in the kingdom. She told me, and I read in the comments that it was, you're due here this week. I think you're here for 2 weeks, and you're here for the Inverness Games up in Scotland. And my heart fell a little bit when you told me, my dear Nancy, because I really wanted you to have good weather while you were here. It's so unpredictable, but usually in July it's pretty glorious, and it hasn't been. And I've been a bit dejected because I know this was a trip of a lifetime for you. I really hope that over the 2 weeks you're here, you get to experience a bit of both, at least, you know what I mean. I hope it doesn't dampen the spirits, because it can change everything according to the weather or according to where you are here in the kingdom. It can change the atmosphere, absolutely everything. So I do hope that you at least get a few glorious days while you're here, my dear, and have a fabulous time regardless. I really do. But the Prince of Wales, in his role as Royal Honorary Air Commodore, RAF Valley, visited the airbase for the first time since taking on the role in the footsteps of his father last summer. Prince William spent 3 years stationed there between 2010 to 13 while serving as an RAF search and rescue pilot, and he's been very passionate at the football recently. Did you see the photographs of him there in the blue tie? Very animated and very exercised. You know, the whole affair bores me to tears, dear, so I don't have much to say about it, but nothing really stirs William quite as much as the football, does it? I wonder if that's his sex face. The mind boggles. It was so delicious and so fun to see Dame Shirley Bassey picking up yet another honour at the age of 87. And isn't she a babe? A total babe. In the beautiful winter of life, 87 years old, forever young, and absolute blossom she is. Absolute blossom. I can't get over it. And she was made a Companion of Honour in the New Year's Honours List, if you remember, for services to music. And she was collecting that honour, and she said that she actually forgot to curtsy this time to the king, and she clasped his hands instead. But I'm sure he won't mind. I'm sure she'll be forgiven. She's done a million curtsies to Charles during his tenure as Prince of Wales. They're old chums, but this is her first time meeting him as a king. And she was accompanied by her daughter and her grandson and her great-granddaughter. Just a lovely story there. Congratulations, Dame Shirley. And another slice of sweet news, well, bittersweet actually, because it's sad news regarding one of the master bakers that works for royalty, Eddie Spence. He was awarded the MBE for services to Sugarcraft. How fabulous. Services to Sugarcraft. That sounds rather enjoyable, doesn't it? But he died at 91, so he had a good innings. His career was so long that it trailed back all the way to the late Queen's wedding, when he spent the entire day beating eggs for the late Queen's wedding cake. That was his job for the entire day. And since then, he's created elaborate confections for royal weddings and jubilees as they came along. The last royal commission was in 2017 for the late Queen and the late Duke's 70th wedding anniversary, and he created intricate sugar flowers to replicate the myrtle in the late Queen's wedding bouquet. Lovely. He said that his favourite was the wedding cake for Princess Margaret Rose, actually, and Tony Armstrong-Jones in 1960. And he said that receiving his MBE back in the day was his proudest moment. And of the late Queen Liz, he said she was absolutely fabulous. At the end of getting my medal, and to thank her, I said, "Thanks, pet," which is a term of affection here in the kingdom. Not so much in the south, but I believe in the north. Hello, pet. Hello, my love. Me ducks. Thanks, pet. I'm not sure if it's an abbreviation of petal. I don't think it is. But nevertheless, a lovely term of endearment. I use it when I'm being a bit camp, but I'm not northern, so it's not really my phrase to use. I said, "Thanks, pet. I always call everybody pet." And of course, right away she laughed, and she wrote it down on her book. That was the biggest and most enjoyable moment. And he was laid to rest with his piping bag, and his family said that that is so that he can teach the angels his skills. As head of the Commonwealth, King Charles hosted the West Indies cricket team at Buckingham Palace ahead of their first test match against England at Lord's this week. The squad were joined by High Commissioners from across the Caribbean, which has been heavily affected by the devastation of Hurricane Beryl. The King has made a substantial donation to the relief effort and has been speaking with the Prime Ministers of Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Jamaica. And this, you see before you, is the royal writ of summons from the King to members of the House of Lords, requiring them to attend the first sitting of the new Parliament after the general election. All members of the House, including bishops, present their writ before they take the oath of allegiance to the King, holding the Bible or an alternative sacred text. The member says, "I swear by Almighty God that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles, his heirs and successors according to law, so help me God." That's the oath of allegiance, or they can say a solemn affirmation instead. So all of that's coming up soon. And Queen Camilla was busy with the National Literacy Trust at their 30th anniversary celebrations at Clarence House, where she gave a party, another wonderful party full of gaiety, all generations, mingling together volunteers, children and authors, and there was a cake to slice. And 60 of the guests in attendance were selected from the 1,000 reading champions that were created by the charity to help foster literacy in disadvantaged communities. Wonderful affair. Well, my beauties, my summer beauties, my tutti fruities. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate your company very much. I hope you go on to have a splendid day and a balmy evening, whether you're in the kingdom or abroad. All kinds of fruits are welcome in this basket, and I look forward to having a nice old bitch with you next time, my dear basketeers. Yes, let's continue having a nice old gentle bitch here and there, because it's fun, isn't it? And it's therapeutic, and it's a way to get things out of the system. Yes, We can channel the royal spirit while bitching away. Do let me know your thoughts down there in the fruit basket, my dears, and if I made you chuckle, my tip jar is in the description box below, or if I made you weep, whichever emotion I conjured up in you, be it hate, pity, despair, disgust, joy, or high sensuality, whatever it is, my dear. My tip jar is always open. I'll see you next time, my lovers. Toodle pip.